बिथां मोसागिरि मोननिसिम आरो लोरगि थिएटार ग्रुप क'क्राझारनिसिम रोजा रोजा साबायखर जासिहरनाय जाबाय अर्गेनाइजिं कमिटिनिफ्राय। दानिया नेक्स्ट जोंहा मोनसे मोसानाय दंबावो, बेनो जाहैबाय बे मोसानायखौ दिन्थिगोन खुंगिरि गार' ख्रिस्टि दलनिफ्राय गार' मोसानाय, गार' ट्रेडिसनेल मोसानाय। बिथांमोनखौ मोसानानै दिन्थिफैनो थाखाय खावलायहरनाय जाबाय। खुंगिरि गार' ख्रिस्टि दल। मोसागिरि बिथांमोननिसिम आरो खुमगिरि गार' ख्रिस्टि दलनिसिम थोजासे साबायखर जासिहरनाय जाबाय अर्गेनाइजिं कमिटिनिफ्राय। Now we are going to start the session. A very warm good morning to one and all present. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that the third Kokrajhar Lead Fest 2024 has been going on for the last 3 days since 27 January 2024. And today is the last day of the third Kokrajhar Lead Fest 2024. Now, first of all, I, on behalf of the organizing committee, welcome you all to this event. Today, in the first session, the name of the session is Poetry from the West. The name of session is Poetry from the West. In this session, we had 2 distinguished poets from the abroad. But unfortunately, who is from Estonia, he could not come due to some unavoidable reasons. But one who is amongst us is Dr. Kinit Kamuri Nagore, and he is from Kenya. And this session would be shared by Dr. Sikna John Wari, sir, Associate Professor, Department of English, Kokrajhar Government College. Now, we'd like to start the session without any further delay. So, first of all, may I now request Dr. Sikna John Wari, sir, to please accept the chair on the dais. Please, sir. We would like to felicitate sir with an Aronai and memento. Thank you, sir, for accepting the chair. Thank you. May I now invite our today's guest presenter, Dr. Kinit Kamuri, to the dais. Dr. Kinit, he is from Kenya. We would also like to felicitate sir with an Aronai and memento from the organizing committee. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Dr. Kinit Kamuri, actually he is a linguist from Nairobi, Kenya. He is currently the chairperson of the Department of Literature, Linguistics and Foreign Languages at Kenyatta University, the second largest university in Kenya. As a researcher, Dr. Kinit takes a special interest in the studies of the endangered minority languages of Kenya. He is involved in training members of communities about language documentation, with special emphasis being given to folklore and performing arts. Dr. Kinit is also an author and poet. Some of his stories and poems are presently being read in junior secondary schools in Kenya. So thank you, sir, for being with us. Now, I would like to request Dr. Sikna John Wari, sir, to take the session forward. over to you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning to everybody. First of all, I feel privileged to chair this session. We have distinguished poets from all over the country as well as from abroad. And also the lovers of literature from our state. So it is a great privilege for me to chair this session. And it is a great opportunity to have an interaction with Dr. Kenneth Kumari Ngurei. He is from Kenya. He is a linguist, and we have already that's why I don't have to go back to his profile now. So, without further delay, so may I request Dr. Kenneth Kumari Ngurei to take his time. That would be followed by an interaction. You are free to interact with him. And at the end of the sessions, I will give my concluding speech. And the sessions will end this way. So without further delay, I would like to request Dr. Kenneth Kumari Ngurei to take his time. Please, sir.
Thank you so much. Should I speak from here or I go there? I can go there, all right, okay. Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. Kulumbai. Thank you. And then I should also greet you in my language, my mother tongue. I speak a language known as Kikuyu. Yeah, Kikuyu, I will greet you, Moleega. Yes, you respond to Reega. Can I try again? Moleega. Great. So, I am from Kenya, and Kenya is in East Africa. I want to make it very clear that Africa has so many countries. The reason why I am saying this is because as I was interacting with delegates, some of them told me that they have met someone from my country. And when I interrogated further, I realized they met someone from South Africa. South Africa and Kenya are very far apart. So Kenya is in East Africa. The Kenyan population, as we stand now, is about 52 million people. The language that I speak is the language that is said to have the majority of speakers, because out of 52 million, the Kikuyu community are about 8 million. Some of you have interacted with authors from, with Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Ngugi wa Thiong'o is a speaker of Kikuyu. So I share a language with a great legend. Yes. And then what my research interest has always been on the endangered languages of Kenya. And we say that when you lose a language, it is like you have burnt down a library. Because when you burn down a library and you cannot get any other books with that knowledge, it has gone down the drain. And so we have been talking to people about the need to preserve their language. And I have learned a lot from the people I have interacted with. And I have noted that here in India, you are way ahead of us because most of these languages, especially the Bodo language, is well documented that it has even in the University of Bodoland University, there are Bodo studies. And I think even in Guwahati, the same thing. So when a language is documented, it is very easy to maintain that language. So that is what I have been doing, working on encouraging communities to document their language. This conference is coming at a very good time. Just 2 or 3 weeks from now, globally, the world will be celebrating what we call International Mother Language Day. For us, we take that day very seriously, which comes on the 21st of February. And I was also very happy to meet someone from Bangladesh because that day owes its origin from what happened in Bangladesh in 1952. So for us in Kenya, we celebrate that day passionately because we don't want people to lose language. So this festival is coming at a very good time when the world is about to celebrate International Mother Language. And then I have also liked the theme. So I want to commend the organizers for picking on a very good theme, very appropriate, exploring boundless horizons, and the natives narrate. That is, it captures it very well, that the natives narrate. For a long time, the story of the natives has been narrated by other people. People who are not themselves, they are not insiders. For a long time, we have had stories of the natives being narrated by other people out there. And for that reason, when an outsider narrates a story, it's slightly different from when an insider narrates it. And so I have really liked that theme. And I want to say that part of what I have been doing is encouraging communities to narrate their own stories and to document it. Because when it is documented, it gives it some permanence. And I have also noted that maybe one of the areas that has not been given a lot of prominence and which I felt maybe I could give it a bit of it in my presentation is oral literature. The oral literature. For a long time, there has been a debate whether if something is oral, can it also be written? And if you write it, then can you still call it oral literature? because literature has to do with written, something written. And that's why some people have argued that instead of us calling it oral literature, let's call it orature. Orature. So, and that has been the inclination in Kenya. We talk about orature. And I want to say that the oral literature of our people is very important. And in my research, I have given prominence to one community, an endangered community that is known as, they used to be called the Wata. The Wata. They were hunter-gatherers traditionally. But when the government, after independence, the government started restructuring its boundaries and its resources, for some reasons, these people were pushed out of their territorial land, out of the forests. And they were forced to subsist like their pastoralist neighbors. And when you remove a people from an environment that they are familiar with, an environment that somehow defines their identity, it brings in some instability. So when the Wata were forced to live among dominant pastoralists, the Oromo, they were a bit uncomfortable. And when they started relating with them, they realized that they are being looked down upon. Because in the pastoralist hierarchy, the pastoralist economy, there is a kind of hierarchy that on top are pastoralists, keepers of livestock. Then from there we come to farmers, those who plant crops. Then from there we come to blacksmiths, people who work with iron. And then at the very bottom, the very lower rung, we have hunters and gatherers. So the Wata felt like they are being treated as very low citizens. But interestingly, although they are treated like that, they are also recognized when it comes to certain rituals. When the Oromo maybe when they are having some important function, like leadership is being handed over to another generation, the Wata people are told to come and officiate. They occupy a very important ritual role. But it just ends there. Once they are done with their role, they are told, now that's okay, you can be on your way. And as you go, you can pick your meat. Your meat, pick it somewhere out there. They are not forced, they are not allowed to interact. So they felt that this is wrong. Recently, this is now very old, the Wata went back to their oral literature. And there is this myth. There is the myth about the patriarch, and that is what I want to highlight on that myth, so that I can demonstrate that oral literature has a lot of significance even in our day. That our oral literature can make a whole difference when it comes to our identity. So the Wata, they went back to their history, to their oral literature, and they said that in one of their myths, the myths about the patriarch of that community, he was not a hunter-gatherer. The myth says that he was not a hunter-gatherer, but he was a pastoralist, a very wealthy pastoralist. But one evening, because he was a wealthy pastoralist, in the evenings he could sit to watch as his animals were coming home. And as he was watching the animals come home, he could play, maybe there is a game that, a traditional game, you play with some stones. It's maybe a version of drafts. You have to play with someone, some stones. As he was playing, there is a stranger who came that day. He could not recognize who the stranger was, but they played. They were playing that game. And they played for some time, and this patriarch, his name is, the patriarch of this, his name was Wayubano. Wayubano. So Wayubano was a stranger, and he appeared to win that game. And because of that excitement, he told this stranger, can we compete with our wealth? Let's see who owns the most. Let's see who is the wealthiest. And this stranger was quiet and was just saying, okay, you want us to compete? Let's agree. Which day will you come to bring? Let's all bring our wealth on a particular day. You count yours and I count mine. Let's see who wins. And on the day that they were to do that, they arrived early and were playing that game. And as they were playing the game, the herders, people who were looking after the cattle of, after Wayubano's cattle, they came worried. They told him, as we were bringing the cattle, some strange animal out there came and it started eating up all the animals that we were bringing. So we do not have any of your animals left, except only one billy goat. And Wayubano was worried because he wanted to prove to the stranger that he was the wealthiest. But as they were playing, the stranger did not look disturbed. He was calm. And then that is when it dawned on Wayubano that this stranger was actually God. It was God who had disguised himself as a man. And so he wanted to teach Wayubano a lesson, that when God has given you wealth, you don't brag. So it was a way of trimming his pride. And that is when he was told, from now on, I have given you all the animals in the forest. So you will not keep these other animals, just keep the ones in the forest. And that is how they ended up being hunter-gatherers. So today the community is using that myth. They are going now to the pastoralists to tell them, we have not been hunter-gatherers all along. We were also pastoralists. And so we were at the same level with you. And for that reason, you should not look down on us. And so they have now approached the government to change their name. So they don't want to be called Wata anymore. They want to be called Wayu. Because they feel when they are called Wayu, it will make them be treated on the same level with other pastoralists. And fortunately, the pressure they have exerted, it has paid some dividends. The government has agreed to use the name Wayu. They have been given that code. So that I have given that story to show that our oral narratives, they have a role to play. They don't just belong to the realm of the old and therefore to be discarded. We need them even today. It is that narrative by the natives that has made them to change their ethnonym so that today they are called Wayu. And so what I do in Kenya is I talk to communities, those that are endangered, because the endangerment in our case is not coming from foreign languages. I think there are places in the world where they are struggling with endangerment coming from, let's say, English or from other languages, big ones, but the endangerment in Kenya is coming from other Kenyan languages. So that's why we are telling people that use your language. If it has not been documented, we train them in how to make use of resources available to document their language. And I think that is what I wanted to draw your attention to, about our narratives being very important. And if we document them, we are guaranteed of sustainability or some kind of permanence when the language is documented. Yeah, I think maybe, I don't know whether that is what I can say for now. Maybe having said that, I also am a writer, and I write some stories and some poems. Mostly the stories and the poems I write, they target junior secondary school children. There is one of the poems that is now being studied by all junior secondary school students, and this one is about the environment. It's about the resilient River Nile. So if I can be allowed, maybe I can read a bit about, read this poem, The Resilient River Nile. From a quiet beginning in the Great Lakes of Africa, a river is born and given the name Nile. She is ambitious and wild, with drainage covering 11 nations, famed as the longest river in Africa. She caused both the White Nile and Blue Nile to meet at Khartoum and begin their journey together. Her heroic journey to the Mediterranean Sea provides sights of beauty and greatness, viewed by tourists and residents alike, while making her way over 6,000 kilometers, bird and indigenous trees gladly cheer her on. She is ready to achieve a feat not many rivers have, cutting a road through the desert, no turning back. From a tender age, she learns the value of cooperation. She reaches out an invitation for friendship. Other streams find a home in the comfort of her banks. Together they build an unbreakable bond, gaining momentum for the difficult journey. A mix of adventure and uncertainty across countries, through deserts, over cliffs. Animals and plants are merry as their thirst is quenched. Crocodiles, hippopotamus, cobras, turtles, and fish have a home. Farmers rejoice in the silt of her flooding. Hydroelectric engineers make use of her power. At the Blue Nile's admirers are awed by her agility. She descends at Murchison Falls. Egypt depends on her nourishing waters. Not everyone embraces the need to protect her. In some regions, her detractors take aim, dumping agricultural and industrial waste, It sickens her plants and poisons her fish. The once pure water is damaged by heavy metals. The once fertile banks no longer nurture trees or crops, flora or fauna. Amazingly, the Nile bounces back. She soldiers on with the determination of an injured tiger. There is a mission that must be accomplished. She must deliver her consignment to the Mediterranean Sea. How she regains her color and strength is a guarded secret. Alexandria, the spot where her fresh river waters feed the next pool in the circle of life. So that's about the resilience of River Nile. Maybe if time allows, I could read the second one, maybe later. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kenneth Ngure. He has given us some things from his personal experience, as well as an academician, as a linguist. He has given us some important insights on why a language matters, and also the importance of oral literature or oral narratives. And he has also read his poems, The Resilient River Nile. So now it is the time for the interactions with him. If you want to interact with him, or if you want to know some things more, or any clarification, or any comment, now it is your time. Please.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, the second poem I will read is about, the title is Poster. Poster. I have a friend of mine who visited me some time back in Kenya. He's called Dr. Raisrang. Dr. Raisrang was asking, what is poster? Simply means the post office. Post office. So I called it poster because that's the Kiswahili word for post office. And in this poem, I'm trying to show how today the post office is being rendered useless because of technology. And some years back, the post office was a very important building where people could visit. And I'm trying to show the various emotions then when people visited the post office. But today, the post office, it looks like it's neglected. People don't talk about post office anymore. Yeah, so that's the technology. So poster. Oh, how dejected you look, lonely, pitiable and forlorn, a pale shadow of the former you. Admirers cast a glance no more. Your doors see no guests. Even idlers and lazy bones avoid you. You are akin to a dinosaur. Your eyes must be hurting sore as you look in the horizon, for multitudes who thronged your vicinity. Your name was on the lips of everyone, the young, the old, the rich, and the poor. You are the meeting point for lovers, the rendezvous for traders and customers who converged at your lawns to cut a deal. You gave directions to strangers and the lost. You witnessed it all when shaky hands picked that letter, hoping for a favorable answer, an end to the hunt of an elusive job, an invitation to a college or school, an assuring word from kinsmen long gone to far places. You gave shoulders to lean on to many a damsel and a lad whose hearts had been broken by contents of missives from your porch. Shouts of joy and ululations, curses and expressionless faces were served to you immeasurably by your diverse patrons who no longer need you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gure, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Two wonderful poems. In the previous poem that you have written, The Resilient River Nile, the last two stanzas, it's very touching for me, where you are saying that not everyone embraces the need to protect her. And in some regions, her detractors take aim, dumping agricultural and industrial waste. You are writing about the degradations of river in one stanza. And the last stanza, you spoke about the Nile's bounces back. So how does the Nile's bounce back when the detractors are going against her? Can you narrate a little further on this?
Yes, I have said that the Nile seems to bounce back to life as it approaches the Mediterranean. That the impression that I wanted to that comes out here is because it crosses through so many countries, and not all countries see the importance of environmental conservation. So environmental conservations are taken, are treated differently by different nations. But it appears that those countries that are closer to Egypt, I think environmental conservation measures are enforced strictly. And that could mean that maybe Egypt plays a very important role in trying to create awareness on the need to preserve the environment. And I think that is why, as it comes closer to where it gets the Mediterranean, the water seems a bit clearer, purer than in other places where environmental conservation is not treated seriously. I think that could be the reason. Yeah, thank you.
I believe there is no more questions to the poet. So let us come to the conclusion. So, the poets have the ways of looking at the things, and That's why the poet or poetry is important. Shelley said that the poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. But another, the poet, in the countering or the counterings in a witty way, he reframed the sentence like this: that the poets are the legislators of the unacknowledged world. So it makes a huge difference in our context, because the world is being ravaged, being destroyed by brutish or mindless people, without considering the importance of the preservation of the nature of the world, the planet Earth, which is the only one in which we live and in which our generations will also live. So the poets, they are drawing us towards this truth, the reality, that the world is being destroyed in a mindless way, but if it goes these ways, certainly it's not going to last very long. As the environmentalists are saying, as we have seen with our own eyes, how the world is going, in what way. So that's why the poetry matters. And poetry matters for the many things, because the poetry is a medium through which we can put our ideas into a safe. Ideas can be saved in the forms of poetry, because poetry has its own formal patterns, and our life cannot make a sense without the patterns, without a particular shape. We need that patterns, some things which we consider to be as shelters for our understandings or for our comprehensions of the world. Without the shape, without the patterns, certainly we cannot understand. So the chaotic, if we present the world as a chaotic world, certainly that would be very difficult for us. That's why Philip Sidney also said that the poets have made the world more beautiful as it is. Yes, the world is beauty, no doubt, but we cannot comprehend the beauties of the world without the poets. It is the poet who can give the actual, the beauties, give shape to the actual beauties of the world. So every poet has his own ways of sharing his experience or his feeling, the realities around him. This is because of the poetry being written in the metaphor. In metaphors there is a lot of scope for the play of your imagination. Because the metaphors allows us to look at things in different ways, the same things in different ways. As it allows us to look at the things from our own perspective, Now that is a huge advantage to see, to seize or to look at the world, and poetry being metaphoric has also another advantage, that it always makes the things appear in a fresh way, in a refreshing way. Because familiarity begets contempt. So there is a saying, familiarity begets contempt. When we are very familiar with a particular thing for a long time, certainly our interest in that thing will be gone. So we need to sustain our interest, and the poetry offers these kinds of functions to look at the things in a new perspective, in a new way, in a refreshing way. And that's why it is important. The poetry matters. And the other aspect of poetry is its potentialities to express our political ideas or whatever it may be, your philosophy, your the protest or anything. We have different groups, different schools, and they all express their views through the poetry. So there may be some people who may think that a political poetry has no place in actual literature, but this is not true. Why? If you want to become totally apolitical, or you want to push it aside, certainly your work is going to be ignored largely. So it has also the scope for expressing our philosophy, our protest, our aspirations, everything. So in that sense, poetry is important. So as I told you, the poetry connects us to the nature, because the nature in itself is wild sometimes, and it is incomprehensible, but the poets would make it beautiful and make it more, comprehensible for every one of us. So it's a good time to have these sessions with Dr. Kenneth Ngure from Kenya. He has come from all the way from Kenya to share his experience with us. It is a quite enriching experience for all of us. And this Lit Festival has become a kind of platforms or a confluence where people from the different walk or from different cultures have come together and have shared their ideas, their views. It's a very good experience for all of us. So with this brief speech, I conclude these sessions. Thank you all.
Okay, now we have come to the end of this session. Before concluding the session, we have from the organizing committee, we would like to give a certificate of appreciation to. So first of all, I would like to request Narzari sir to hand over the certificate of appreciation to our moderator, Dr. Wari sir. Okay, I would like to request our chairperson, Dr. Wari sir, to hand over the certificate of appreciation to Dr. Kinit. Thank you, sir, for doing this honor. Now, I would like to request Narzari sir to hand over certificate of appreciation to Wari sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, a brief word of thanks. It has been an honor for me to be a part of this wonderful event of the third Kokrajhar Lead Fest 2024. On behalf of the organizing committee, I, Sanjay Basumatari, would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the esteemed guest, Dr. Kinit, who has come all the way from Kenya. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us and sharing your experience with us. I would like to thank Dr. Sikna John Wari sir for sharing this session, and I would like to thank all the guests present in this hall, all the student friends from various institutes, and everyone, those who have extended helping hand for making this event a successful one. Thank you. Thank you.